The following is intended only for mature audiences. Always consult legal and medical professionals when needed. Viewer discretion is advised. Good evening to everybody out in Facebook and listening to the podcast on various podcast platforms. Welcome back to another edition of Terra Turas. You'll notice this evening that one square is empty. I feel like we're playing Hollywood Squares. This evening, Mr. Jared Walters, our panel member, is out and under the weather, so he's taking the night off. He might be in the chat room just to say hi or answer a few questions. But with me this evening, Michael Peterson. In the upper left-hand corner is Heather Lynn. And in the upper right-hand corner is Reverend Pat Beers. How are you ladies doing this evening?
Doing good. Beautiful day.
What was it like up in Michigan today, Heather?
Oh, it was rainy and cloudy and yucky today. But I'm glad that Pat had sunshine. It was, what did you say, in the 80s?
We surpassed, they said maybe 82, 83. We went to think of 84, 85.
Wow.
Happy May.
Yeah.
Yay.
Did you people today?
Did what? Did I people? Heather.
Yes, I was at work. I didn't people a lot. I just peopled a little.
This evening we are going to be talking about something that we keep getting questioned about from time to time, either in our everyday lives, in our professional lives as readers, comes up in conversation. The two things that we're going to be talking about is the Astral Plane and Astral Travel. Now, there are some things that sound familiar or sound similar, or things that look like they might be similar, but they're actually not. And we're going to cover those as well. But the first thing, I'm just going to take a minute, because I want to talk about what the actual astral plane is. And then we're going to talk with Heather and Pat about this as well. When you look for more of a classic definition of the astral plane, it is a plane of existence that is, for lack of better words, between the normal world, what we live in, reality, and a higher plane of existence. It is a place that is used for predominant travel by non-physical beings, non-physical body. And it was kind of put into play in a lot of different ways, and more of an understanding. Somewhere around the late 18th, 19th century, people have been using it, though, for most all of eternity. When you hear people say out-of-body experience, or that they traveled in their dream, this is where that actually takes place. It is something that is across all cultures, and going back, whether you want to say Druidic, whether you want to say Egyptian, whether you want to say Gypsy, Native American, all used this in particular in-between world. Because when you hit this astral plane, there's not buildings and things like that. It is more of just a fluid world that allows you to quickly connect to two different points to be able to see things, experience things. This is typically, for me, and I'll ask the ladies here in a minute, this is typically a plane of existence that you achieve through more of a deeper meditative state, or something that you sit, relax, and very much concentrate on before you disengage yourself from your physical body and join on that plane, the astral plane. Now, Pat?
Yes, sir.
Let's talk to you for a minute. in your experience, and before we get into travel, how would you describe the astral plane to some people?
That I go there through the gateway of dream time. Um, like if I'm going to visit some place I haven't been before, or if I have questions about something, I will ask them to take me to the astral plane and help me to decipher or see some information that's going to help me to help the client or my friends, whomever, something I'm dealing with that I just can't get my head around and I need help with it. So I will ask them to take me to the astral plane. I consider it a place of higher learning. And then I've also used it like when I'm going to be visiting some place that I haven't been, I will ask them. And I don't know I'm doing it, I guess, because I will go there and actually get a preview of what I'm going to see when I get to that particular place.
Well, that's
You know,
interesting.
yeah.
Would you classically say that somewhere on the astral plane is where an item called the Akashic Records or the Akashic Library
Yeah.
is at?
Very much, very much. I was just going to say that I consider when I ask for information and I go, I feel like I'm visiting the Ashcake records and I'm getting the information that I'm going to need to either help clarify to myself or to the people I'm working with.
How often do you find yourself making use of the astral plane?
Depends on what's going on in my life. Sometimes I don't go there maybe once a month, and other times I feel like I go there every night because I've got this gnawing thing at me that I can't quite get my fingers and my head around, and I want to know more. And so I'll say, okay, guys, I need more, I need more, I need more. Or sometimes it's that old hard head thing where they have to take you back 5 or 6 times. Go, are you listening? Are you paying attention? Are you seeing what we're trying to show you here? So yeah. That would. What are you laughing about, Heather? But that's the way I treat it anyway.
Is this, from your experience, something that a sleeping person bounces in and out of sometimes without knowledge?
Yes, unknowingly.
Okay.
Hmm.
Because I want to talk about that when we start to talk about the traveling side. Now,
Hmm.
Heather, in your experience and the things that you have done, how would you describe both the astral plane and things that you do there?
Well, I don't know which one of you said it, but you said a place of higher learning, higher
Hmm.
knowledge, the Akashic Records. I visit there often, and sometimes consciously, sometimes not consciously. Like you guys talked about. It's funny that when we say the word plane, because often when I go there, it's to like Pat said, see something, experience something, or I do a lot of cosmic energy work, and so I use that as a basis. And I really, I totally just lost my train of thought. Not even gonna lie. Oh, the plane. So when I go there in my head and I see my higher self, um, it does to me look kind of like a platform almost like what I'm standing on. And it's funny that we're talking about it because just this week I was there and I was connecting and I was like, what am I standing on? And why does it look like a big, like you would dissect, a picture with, like a
Hmm.
plane. So that's kind of interesting. That's how I see it in my head.
When you communicate with the spirit guides, things like this, do you find that there are times that the meeting takes place on an astral plane, or does it take place more in the here and now, where we are?
Well, I mean, I kind of think, I guess I assume it's in mostly taking place astrally. Um, but a lot of times when I'm visiting my own guides, I have my own place that I go to.
Hmm.
So it's very different when I'm talking to my guides than when I connect to my higher self. So I don't know if that's true for other people, but that's how it is for me. I have a special place that I go just to meet with them, and then that connection to myself when I'm like, all right, like, no, this is where you need the information from, like straight from you, your inner being who knows way more, than you do.
And I say,
So,
Michael, that was the way I started. I would connect there through my guides and whatnot, and now I find I can just go there. You
Yeah.
know, it's just such a comfortable experience that, and I'll find myself going there. Sometimes I don't know that I'm going there for a client before I meet the client. It's like
Oh,
spirit's way of helping me to have an understanding, because I'll wake up and I'll go, what was that all about? And then
mhm.
I'll meet this person a day, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months later. And I'm like, oh,
yeah.
okay. Now I know what that was about. So it's
Yeah.
really interesting. Um, Sometimes I think they consider us a little dull. And
Yeah. That's why I've been trying to write more stuff down, is just for that reason. Because then when you look back and you're like, oh, you're connecting all those pieces together. And I'm not always super consistent about that. So
Wait
I
until she
think it is
gets to be my
important to write.
age. Heather, when you get to be my age and you take a look at all the writings that you've done, you have a mass amount of paperwork that you can't remember what the hell it's all for to begin with. And when you get to Pat's age, it just all sits in the corner and you don't remember any of it anyhow.
in
Well, you know
stats,
what? And someday your kids are going to have to go through that. They'll be
they
like,
remind me.
what is this? What? My mom really was crazy.
I wrote this 30
I
years
have
ago.
proof right here.
Hmm.
I have
Yeah, I
proof.
have proof. I have proof. It's her handwriting. Nobody else wrote this crazy shit. Oh,
It is the one thing that I've noticed that all of us, and Pat, you said it, when we first start out, I believe, as readers, we find an area of comfort or a place that is familiar.
Mhm.
And it typically
Well,
resides on an astral plane simply because we have to associate working with other spiritual beings as something that is not natural, would be the right kind of way to put it. So it can't take place in the here and now. And once you become accustomed to going to this particular spot, it's like learning to drive to the grocery store. Pretty soon you're in the car, you're in the parking lot, you're opening the door, and you don't even realize you've driven to the store, but you're
yeah.
there.
you're just
And then when
there.
you get later on in life, you remember getting in the car, you kind of remember checking out, and you kind of remember getting home, and then you forget that you might have forgotten something, or but it 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 is in constant motion. How much we learn, to how much we do, to how comfortable we are. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And it's also spirit's way of saying, quit worrying about this. Just let us know what you want to know, or let us know what you think you need help with, or give us permission. I will give them permission to come to me and
Yeah.
just tell me anything I need to know at a future date. And I'm like, Heather, I'll dream something, or I'll been to the astral plane looking for something else, came up with something totally different. I'm going, that's not what I wanted to know.
Yep.
And then a week or two later, oh, okay, I see where that needed to be here for that, not for that
Right.
person, but it all kind of always blends together, as most of this work does.
It really does. It's really amazing.
It is, in spite of us.
Yes, in spite of us. Since I'm when I first started on this journey, reaching the astral plane, and essentially meeting somebody else's higher self up there was one of the first ways that I really learned to work on the astral plane. And it was explained really simple to me, about just, following that cord up, from the crown of your head. And then you just, we all have energetic cords attached to everyone you meet. I mean, the person you're like, hey, at the grocery store. I mean, we have to be aware and cut those cords, but you just follow that cord right to them, and you can go meet their higher self. And I have crazy things happen there. That's all I'm going to say. Crazy things happen. It's really a really cool experience to work from the astral plane. I think you guys probably have
Yep, that's
experiences too.
that's part of the actual astral travel,
Yes.
which
Oh,
is something that we'll take a minute and kind of touch on and explain. And again, it
sorry, I
is
jumped right in there, didn't I?
no, it's perfectly fine. When people talk about astral travel, it is your spiritual side of yourself disengaging from your physical body, hitting the astral plane, and traversing time, space, distance to achieve knowledge, insight, or to go find in search of something. Now, it is a commonly held understanding that there is a thin, like a hair's breadth thin silver cord
Mm-hmm.
that connects your physical body with your astral self. That way, you either A, never become lost, but B, you never are truly disconnected from your body.
Right.
Even though when you astral travel, you definitely feel like your entire self is gone somewhere, but your physical body has to remain here in order to give you an anchoring point, if I could put it that way.
Yeah.
Now, as I mentioned, this is something that is also common when you take a look at how to achieve this. And again, as we had spoken earlier, and I said earlier in the show, sometimes people call it by a different kind of thing if they have an out-of-body experience. It is somewhere said that somewhere between 5 and 10% of the population of the Earth does travel in the astral format on a conscious level, as in they actually do it. So it is ironic because we have more than 7 billion people on the planet. And it takes 10, even 5% of that is like an astronomical amount of people that are having out-of-body experiences at any point in time.
Well, and they say you need what, 1% of the population to make a shift in something. You're talking 5, possibly 10%. I mean, that's huge. That's why our Earth is going in the right direction.
Well,
even though it might not appear like it. I know there's a lot of chaos and frustration going on, but it really is working for our benefit here.
I would agree. Our planet is heading in a better direction on a continuous basis because there are enough people that are light workers that are trying to achieve the right kind of thing in life, that are adding to a positive and not a net negative.
Right.
It's just when we have calamity due to Mother Nature or calamity due to man-made war, these kinds of things, that we tend to forget that we're still progressing as a race and as a species. But I would agree.
And it's healing. I mean, Mother Earth has to heal. There has to be, earthquakes and tornadoes and tsunamis. She has to heal. And that's, you heal from the inside out. The human body is the same way. You heal from the inside out. And in reverse order in which it started. So I have to believe that Mother Earth is the same way.
When we talk more about astral travel, it is not something that people would say is a lucid dream. Because when people actually travel in an astral format, they are 100% wide awake. They hear things, feel things, smell things, touch things, everything. All of these senses are still 100% at work.
Right.
It is just you are no longer A, in your physical body, and B, you probably are not anywhere near your body. But everything else to you seems very real. Does that make sense, Pat? Have you had experience with that?
It does to me because when I do that, when I ask to go, I always feel like my etherical body is floating about 3 feet above my physical body. And so it's like, and the everyday stuff going on isn't there. When you're on the astral plane, you're just not knowingly, but you're totally focused. You're wide open to learn and observe and see. And if it's a specific problem, you're very aware of what's coming to you regarding that. But otherwise, it's like, what else do I need to know? Is there something? And I've encountered people or souls that I have met later in the physical that I know that my first connection to them was on the astral plane.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, me too.
There's that familiarity. They may not have a shape, but there's something with the energy that we can really connect with.
Yeah.
I would agree, and it is one of those things because we have evolved in a conscious thought, understanding that we are an energetic being, whether we are looking at our sum total as a human physical form or as a soul inhabiting a physical form. Everything within us is an energetic kind of state. And all we are doing is transferring a portion of that energy out of this reality and into a very different reality. Now, before a lot of people turn around and have a compliance issue, if I can say that, if people understand that quantum physics now is being able to prove alternate universes, alternate timelines, alternate states of being through the use of science, then all we have to do is take a look. If science is over here, you take a look on the other side of that coin and you go back thousands of years. This is something that metaphysical practitioners have known for a very, very long time. They know that the astral plane is nothing more than another realm of existence.
Right.
So, in this aspect, science and quantum physics is just now beginning to catch up with what people have known for a long time. It's not magic. It's just a different way of doing things. Now, Heather, you explained that you would follow somebody's silver cord because when we are in a group gathering, they all kind of connect without us really paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
So how did that feel when you did that for the first couple of times?
Literally, it was out of this world. I had never experienced anything like that before. I had meditated and, I know that I had astral traveled unknowingly. But the first time that I connected, and it was like I knew who it was, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I could see like how he was dressed and how I was dressed. And it was like, I could see all the details and like what we were doing and walking around and talking. And it was literally like, just another dimension, there's some people believe that there's a certain number of dimensions. Other people believe that there's an infinite number of dimensions. And so really, isn't there, at any given time, you could be in how many number of realities doing something different. So it was really kind of cool to experience that.
Pat,
like on a one-on-one, you know what I mean?
Yes, very much I understand that. Pat?
Yes, sir?
Call me sir. I work for a living, damn it.
I know, I can't resist picking on you tonight. You know it. It's like I took my rock.
It's like a teddy bear that needs to be poked tonight.
She started before we even started the show tonight. She's got this Michael button that she's going, hey, check this out. Did you see this? Watch. And of course I would react. And she would wait a few minutes and she would do it again. I'm like, you've got to be effing kidding me. We're going to start the show, damn it. Watch this. Like, hey.
Yes, dear.
And what are you going to do about it?
Drive over and just knock on her door and then run away. Or ring her doorbell. Ding dong. And the dogs will go nuts and I'll get in the car and drive away.
Pile of poo.
I'll wait until she's at a fair that's closer to the house. And I go, oh, hi, Pat. And she'll be in the middle reading. She'll just look at me. Most of the time, I know. I thought about that. Most of the time when people do that, she ignores him. She's totally wrapped up in what she's doing.
What, dear?
We were talking about people traveling in an astral format while they dream because, A, they are finally so relaxed that the boundary between their thinking of the physical reality and their spiritual knowing of the astral plane becomes a lot easier to cross through.
Just happens.
And it does. And people wake up saying, I had the most vivid dream, and it really felt real. And I remember, and it seemed like I was wide awake. Folks that are listening, either in the chat room or on podcast, please understand your body will travel without your conscious saying it's okay. And it will do so simply because your spiritual side of your life has already said it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now, when they dream and this happens, are they in any kind of danger?
I don't think so, because I always ask my angels and guides to be with me at all times, especially when I go to bed at night. My physical body will rest while my etherical body does its work. Um, have you ever slammed back into the bed? And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of the universe's way of protecting us, if you will. Maybe we went a little too far. Maybe we're a little too nosy about something we're not ready for. And man, they'll snap you back, and you literally feel yourself hit the bed and go, "What the heck?"
Yes.
And then my question to you is, my sister used to yell at me all the time. She lived in Riverside, California, right outside LA. And she was a ward secretary at night. And our mother was dying of cancer. And we couldn't talk a lot sometimes because of the 3 hour time difference. And she would give me holy heck, or she would call me at 1 or 2 in the morning our time because I'm bugging the living daylights out of her. And I said, I was sleeping. So, and then she would do the same thing to me. She's working at night, so she's thinking about all this. And I'm like, and we would have these, and I've had it with friends too. Have you ever had a conversation with friends and you know both what you're talking about, and that conversation never took place on this plane?
Yes.
And it's just, sometimes it kind of, and then you realize you're like, oh, but yeah, she used to give me for what all the time. She said, quit doing that. I'm trying to work here. I didn't even know I was doing it, but I needed to communicate some things to her. I couldn't talk to her physically, so I just astral traveled out to California and told her what I had to tell her.
My mentor and I used to do the very same thing, and he was in Memphis, Tennessee. And it would get to the point, and this is after we had been working together probably a couple of years. It got to the point where sometimes 3:30, 4:30 in the morning, I would pick up the phone, I would call his house, and he would answer. He'd go, "What?" And I would tell him, "If you don't stop doing that, I'm driving down there, I'm going to beat you senseless."
Yeah.
And the same thing with me. He would call, and see, but he was a little bit different. When I wake up, I'm a grumpy little grouch, okay? He would call, and I would pick up, what? Because I know who it was. He goes, you want to describe that dream a little bit more that you were just having? Where you were traveling? Was scantily clad? I would say, just shut up. And I would hang up the phone. But he had great mirth in finding what I was working on, whether it was in a library, if it was something stupid, if I was on the beach, he would always call and reference what I was dreaming about.
Right.
And
cool.
believe it or not, in the same aspect that it was a confirmation in its own right, it also taught me how to control and guard what I was thinking and doing, and pre-programming my brain. Here's what we will think about tonight while we go to sleep. We are not going to just daydream. Because that became embarrassing after a little while,
Right.
One of my first teachers, when he was teaching us about these things, Cake records, and he hadn't really touched on astral travel yet. But believe it or not, there were 13 of us plus him. And we would have our class on Tuesday nights, and it started about 7 and ended about 9. And he'd say, now here's something to think about. And he wouldn't tell us, you just give us that 1 or 2 little words, and then he would collect us all and take us to the astral to the Cake records or something. And we're back in class, and we're all looking at each other. Did you have a dream about? And he'd just sit there and snicker. He'd let us hang ourselves, and then he would say, that's what's called astral travel. You can do that anytime, anywhere, And and it's just, I feel that if you're a collective group, if you're with people, like-minded people, and you're studying something, you may find yourselves all on the astral plane discussing something and bringing different bits
Yeah.
and pieces back.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself doing that from time to time as well? Having a conversation with somebody or doing something more while you are sleeping on the astral plane, working, peopling, if I could, and then connecting with those people a short time later?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I do. And just common themes come up, and you know what I mean? Things that I've been talking about for myself, and then people will come and show me these things. And yeah, yeah. And as far as being protected, you guys were talking, I feel like um, without the use of outside substances, shall we say, that would inhibit that how do you say free will type of thing, you inhibit your own innate protective system. I think that you're pretty well protected. I mean, are there negative energies? Yes, but again, typically speaking, you have angels, you have guides, and there's going to be someone there to protect you while you're traveling. And like Pat said, when you get jerked back, well, maybe we were being a little nosy. I really like that. It was cute. But, if your self is intact, then I don't think people should be scared.
It's
So,
about setting your intent when you go. I go in safety and I return in safety.
but you're,
I mean,
you're talking about some kind of substance that is a little bit more than aspirin, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've met some people that are addicts that you can really feel their soul not attached to their physical body. And I think that in that state, and when you're on, I mean, I haven't done hard drugs, but I think it just inhibits that veil, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like you're just really not protected because your soul is not, it's already distant from your body. So that kind of leaves you open and unprotected, but that's just my experience.
Well, and I think they're looking for a different kind of experience than what we're hoping to do when we do it.
Right, right. And people that do it on an unconscious level, their intent is not ill either.
Not the same. Yeah, people that would take any kind of a psychedelic or any kind of a mind-altering substance are looking for a different trip than what meditation might normally achieve.
But it does make it easier to connect in that way. You know what I mean? So I think that it does happen to people that they are kind of in that state and they're already, you're talking about astral traveling and stuff. It's in line.
I've heard things of that nature because here again, I'm one of the squarest, whitest guys on the face of the planet. If it has not been a prescription drug, it's never been in my body. And we're talking no weed. I'm the guy that had to ask my son Alex what 420 meant. And this was only about 5 years ago. Okay. And he goes, Dad, you're serious? Yeah, I'm serious. What the hell is 420? And he's laughing at me. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm also the guy that had to ask my wife, why is a dime bag of weed so damn expensive? I didn't know it was an ounce of marijuana. I mean, okay. So, you understand, I'm square, right here. But I have heard people such as Steve Jobs saying that they have had an absolutely profound experience with a substance like LSD. I have heard people that have taken an array of different substances, whether they were high on marijuana, mushrooms, who knows what. And each one has a different a psychological aspect or a different view of something like that. I have heard that people that take LSD have a much expanded experience in life after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I can believe that to be true.
I had, maybe I shouldn't say this, but when I was in Hawaii, I did try mushrooms for the first time ever, and I had never done anything like that. And Spirit was just like, I'd kind of put it out there. It's something I always wanted to try. And I went to an ecstatic dance. Well, I went to many ecstatic dances, but and it just was a very big heart opener. And it was just, I mean, because I was dancing, and so it was just very connecting and opening and grounding, and just very like, I don't know, warm and gooey. And I mean, it's not something that I would like seek out again, but it was definitely on an energetic level very opening, very heart opening. I mean, you could feel it in your energy centers. But yeah, I've heard of a lot of people have, what's that, ayahuasca ceremonies. There's all kinds of stuff like that. But I was talking more like, meth and stuff like that. People get really disconnected from, their soul becomes really disconnected from their body when you're
non-reality.
That. Yeah.
Not reality at all.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, for people that are listening, people that are watching, please understand, no one here this evening advocates taking any psychedelic, interjecting anything into your body. We do not advocate it. We do not recommend it. We are only sharing some of our own personal experiences that may have happened in our life.
I hope I didn't make you upset by sharing that story, Mike.
Not at all. But I want
to share, because there are a lot. I've heard a lot of stories now about people doing that, but yeah, it's not.
Sure. No,
I think there's much better ways to connect. I mean, and like Pat said, it's instant now. I mean, you don't even have to. I just will take a few breaths and. You know what I mean? You're connected. You're there. You don't need anything.
Sure. No, I just want people to know that we are not advocating the use of any type of foreign substance that is ingested, inhaled, or otherwise into the body.
Yeah, and a lot of religions, like, the South Americans and all those, they chew the leaves, peyote for the Native Americans.
Peyote, yeah.
Most of them are natural products, not
right.
chemical concoctions. But yeah, and I've known people who smoke marijuana a lot, and they get them into meditation and they're going, dang, this is really better, because sometimes it takes them a while to reconnect to reality. And with this, and they felt they were so creative, and so we'll just try meditation. And when they did, and it's like, oh, so it's just interesting. It's all part of the human experience, I guess.
It is, and it can be. It can do many different things. It can be enlightening. It can be funny. It can be destructive at times. Sure. A lot of that is in intention. And that's something that we're going to talk about here when we come right back. We're going to take a short break in our show. When we come back, we're going to talk about setting up in order to work with astral travel and the astral plane, and how you might be able to achieve that. And we'll do that as soon as we come back in just a few minutes. Divine Awakening's New Age Emporium and Healing Arts Shop. It's the largest locally owned and operated metaphysical retailer in the Sandusky, Ohio Tri-County area. Serving the Firelands region since April of 2014, they're pleased to offer a space that is welcoming, relaxing, and open to everyone. In the Emporium, you will find a variety of unique gifts, special events and services, as well as classes and workshops to soothe your mind, body, and spirit. If you're in the Sandusky, Ohio area, look for Divine Awakenings at 1006 Tiffin Avenue, Sandusky, Ohio. Their phone number is 419-502-9137, and you can find them on Facebook at /Divine Awakenings LLC. Coming back from our short break, and while we were talking about a few things, it is one of the things that I do want to make sure that we cover is whether you are astral traveling by design, by conscious thought, and doing so consciously, or if you are doing so because you're crossing to the astral plane while you're sleeping. There's some things that you need to do to give a little bit of boundary, to give a little bit of scope or destination when you begin to astral travel. Pat, I'm going to start with you because a few things that you mentioned are very key in that. So how do you start, or how do you begin? Do you typically do this when you begin to meditate? When you astral travel?
I have.
Okay.
And if it's something that I'm not sure, I can't always calm myself enough to stay focused on what I want to stay focused on when I meditate. Sometimes I think it's just like you go to the grocery store, you go for two things and you come out $50 later and you don't have the two things you went in for. So you get sidetracked because sometimes they have a message or something they want you to focus on, and it's not what you thought you wanted to focus on. Mm-hmm. So if I find that I can't get it through meditation during the day, I will, when I go to bed, say tonight, I thank you for being with me and guiding me to the help that I need with this, or the information that I need to forward this, to make progress, to, and it's usually, and I'd rather do that than to just put it up in the air and say, okay, I think I'll go tonight. Just show me what you want. And sometimes I do that. Sometimes I go, okay, guys, got anything new you want to tell me? And so sometimes I do it that way. But usually when I'm doing it, I go with an intent. Please, I need help with this. I need to know more about this. I'm confused about this. Can you give me some guidance here? And I normally always get my answers and then more.
So when you meditate, we'll start this way for the conscious side of astral traveling. When you begin your meditation, how would you set your boundaries, if I could put it that way? How do you set your intention? Do you say, I only want to know for a particular reason, or do you say, I only want to go to a particular place?
I will normally say, thank you for directing me to the place I can get the most information about, or thank you for clarifying this for me. And if I've not got a specific purpose or reason, I just say, thank you for showing me some things I may not be aware that I need to be aware of or know more about, or like Heather said, the same subject will come up over and over and over. Okay, why are you talking to me about this? What am I missing? Is this for me, or is this going to be for a client that I'm going to meet? Because if it makes no sense to me, I want to know why it keeps coming up.
Right. Heather, when you work on more of an astral plane, when you travel, how do you set yourself to keep out of trouble, so to speak?
Well, before I meditate, I really see a lot of color. So I just bring in the white light or gold light, whatever I'm feeling that day. Um, I just bring in the light, and I just imagine this big light from the heavens coming down through my crown, all the way through my body, and then out the bottom of my feet, and then just all the way to the core of the earth. And then I grow roots out of the bottoms of my feet, and then I just wrap those around the core of the earth, and then I see that energy coming all the way back up, and that just kind of lets me know that my intention is of the love and the light, and that I am safe and protected. And sometimes, Pat's got tons of cute little prayer. I didn't mean to be cute, but they are. I love them. Her prayers and sayings that she does, and I'm not so eloquent in my askings, but I do always ask, whatever my intention is, but just that I be guided and protected, basically. Depends on the moment, what I'm feeling.
See, now, I'm listening and I find these heartwarming and ironic, and I think it might be more because I'm male. When I sit and meditate, it can be half a dozen of different various places. As Heather had mentioned before, you've got your safe area. This is where you go to begin doing whatever you're doing. And when I'm ready, I say, okay, guys, when you're ready, I'm ready. And when that side and my side finally come to an equilibrium, that's when out of nowhere a door will appear, and I'll get up and walk through it and travel to wherever it is that I'm supposed to be.
Oh, you have a door.
Mine.
Dude, I just follow the energy up. Like I don't really go through anything.
Yeah, I used to feel the connection like that, and as I grew, somewhere, because I'm a guy and typically impatient, I don't want to have to take all the steps of doing that. Yes, I learned how. Yes, I did that. And finally, I told the guys, come on, there's got to be a simpler way. I'm here, you're here. Let's either get together or screw it, I'm going back home, so to speak.
Well, see, for me now, it's instantaneous. I don't have to go through that whole process. It just is. You know what I mean? It's like you're saying, like, come on, let's get on with this.
Yeah. Now, I think even Pat would agree that all of us have reached a point in our strength, capability, fundamental who we are, that it has become an instantaneous. You close your eyes, within a few moments, you are doing what you need to be doing. Whether it happens during a reading, whether it happens at any point in time. But I would also say that we are creatures of habit. Then when we really are delving after something, or we are really striving to understand something, we fall back to the way that we first became very seriously acquainted to, and go through the steps to make sure that we're not missing anything. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And see, I think for you, it's that logicalness.
It is.
When I first was learning to meditate, I had to go downstairs, and they had this nice big soft recliner, and I would sit down in that, and I would push back, and I would just, try to get myself. And I found that being, I guess, the more masculine side of me. I wanted it just in such a way, Well, then one time I was leading a meditation, and I noticed that they were having trouble calming down, and I had two different ways of doing it. One, we would walk up the steps to this large building with the big pillars and the double white doors, and it was like a cathedral. So we would swing the doors in and go in and find a pew and sit down and, just look at the flowers and things on the altar. No religious symbols, just flowers and just greenery. That would help some if they were very religious based and they needed that. And for others, I would take them to the pasture on the farm where all my family resided, and we would walk through the waterfall.
Oh,
Nice
wow.
grassy area. You'd sit down there for a little bit, get relaxed, do some deep breathing. Then, when you were ready, we just walked through this warm waterfall where we washed away everything that was happening during that day that we couldn't quite get out of our head. And then we were just in this wonderful, peaceful place. So it's whatever you need at the time. It's not,
Yeah.
engraved in stone for people. They think, oh, I got to do it that way, or they do it that way. No, it's whatever fits you. But you guys, in your logical mind, let's cut to the chase. Let's go. This is what I want. Boom, done.
Right.
Right, Heather?
Yep. So now, I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like we're almost. Do we have a distinction between meditation and astrally traveling? Because to me, it's not. I mean, it's almost one and the same, but at the same time, it's not. Because I do. I mean, I have different intentions, and I do a lot of my shaman work on an astral plane. So a lot of Michael mentioned doors. So I'm a key holder. This was passed down to me, and I open doors for people. So you can't make them walk in. That's not your job. But and I do that. And now the more I do it, it's more conscious. I think I've been doing it for a lot longer than I've known that I've been doing it.
Mhm.
But it's not something. It's not a new skill, but it's new to me in this. But it's a really cool thing to do, to experience that. All that there is, the possibilities are limitless in the astral plane. Absolutely limitless. You can do, see, experience, heal anything. And I think that's my intent for almost all of it. No matter what I'm doing, my underlying intent is to heal, whether it's for other people or for myself. Do you guys do healing work when you're on the astral plane, or what do you?
I may ask that others be helped while I'm there, but when I meditate, that's usually when I'm asking for healing for myself. How can you help me? Can you show me how I can do this better? When I
Right.
go to the astral plane, I guess I'm seeking knowledge in some way.
Right.
A different, do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? A different
No,
kind
it's
of knowledge.
totally different. It really is different. It really is.
And we all have to find our own way. There's
Yeah.
no set way of doing any of this.
Right. Right.
Heather, I'm gonna wrap the show out by asking, and then I'll talk about mine. Heather, what is one instance of you traveling on the astral plane that you found either so profound, so wild, so far out there it blows your mind? What is one that you would talk about and tell people?
Okay, so I almost want to blush just thinking about this, but
I'm going to take my headphones off then.
Okay.
so no, where my friend Vicky has this beautiful property not too far from where I live, and we've been meditating. I've been meditating over there for a couple years now, and the natives of the land, and there is this Native American man, and he is like, whoo, they didn't tell me about him before I got there, and I met him, and I tell you what, it's like he gets near you, and you just he has this effect on all the ladies, okay? And so, again, we're all connected, right? We meditate together, we drum together. So there's this beautiful woman that's there, and she messaged me one day, and she was like, oh my gosh, Heather, what are you doing? She's like, we just had the most intense experience up there, like, if you know what I'm saying, without our clothes on. She was like, you came and got me. I know. And I was like, what? Like, and it was funny because when I was at work when it happened, and I remember like I got really dizzy and I got really hot, and I was like, I had to drink water and I had to sit down. And then, like, within 2 or 3 minutes of me feeling like this, she pops on my messenger and is like, holy crap, blah, blah, blah. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened. Like, she is like, and I'm like blushing, you know what I mean? I was like, oh my gosh, like, I thought I was going to pass out. Like, I got really dizzy and I wasn't feeling well. Like, what? So that was probably one that I was not fully conscious of at the time. But
that's real energy work, Heather. That's
real energy work right there. It really is. I tell you what. And oh my gosh, yeah. She's like, you started it. You came and got me. And I was like, wow, that kind of sounds like me. But
look at poor Michael, Heather. Look at poor Michael.
I'm sorry. You asked the question. Ask, and so shall you receive.
Tonight's episode has been brought to you by the Harlequin romance novel for the metaphysical side of life.
I didn't give details.
Oh my God. Pat, I swear to God, if you come up with something like that, I'm going to just turn it off. I don't want to know.
Michael's blushing.
This is the point in time. You see, I did this a while back ago.
The real Heather's coming
so
out
that I could just put this picture up. And nobody would see anything but a static picture, and I can sit here and just mute my microphone. Oh. There are some days that you learn more things than you really want to. The exuberance of youth. All in a 5'3", what, 5'3" or 5'4" package?
I'm almost 5'3".
Oh. All right. I
have to round up.
Pat.
Yes, dear. I would say for me, it was just like, wow, what is this place? And it's just like, you know, I really like being in the library and seeing all these titles. And it was like, there's so much, where do I go first? Where do I go first? That was my experience with it, because I had never experienced anything like that. You know, I meditated before I knew what I was doing. And to just have all this knowledge at your fingertips, and, you know, and it's like, and that was mine. And it was just answers to questions I didn't know I had, and information, and wow, you know, just one of those.
And I know that we all have that kind of reaction the first couple of times that we really experience that kind of travel, with a true understanding that we are no longer in our physical body, that we are completely somewhere else, and there is no denying it whatsoever. That we sit there and go, holy mackerel.
How did I get here? What am I doing? How do I get back? You know, but you're so overwhelmed. I don't want to go yet. Not yet. You know, let me look more.
Do you guys ever get that feeling like in your body where you're just like, you can tell that you're not, or even sometimes when I lucid dream, it's like Pat said, you can feel yourself floating a few feet above you, and you can't move, but you're aware of your body. Like, you know where your body is. You know you can feel it, but you can't really feel it. That's the weirdest feeling.
Yep.
I mean, it's really cool. I love it.
It's kind of being halfway between here and there.
Yeah.
Right. And you can feel it. You like literally feel halfway between.
And yet you know you're okay. There's no fear.
There's no fear. No.
It's like, wow, what is this? Is this supposed to be this way? You know? Right. Yeah.
See, now for mine, I was working. It was late at night. I was on the phone with my mentor, Richard. And brother and I were talking. He goes, do you want me to show you what astral travel can really be like? This was early on. I'm like, you can do that. He goes, oh yeah. He goes, we'll work on a combined or a shared meditative state. Okay, fine. We had done that before. And I got to the point where there's that doorway, and I said, okay, I let him know I'm at that point. I open the doorway, and here's Richard standing on the other side of the door. I'm like, brother. And now, at this point, I had laid the phone down. It was still on, but I had laid the phone down next to me. Richard and I were having a conversation on another plane. He reached through the doorway, grabbed hold of my hand, pulled me through, and all of a sudden, there is nothing but leaving the planet Earth. It's just being this ball of energy and flying through the cosmos, looking at stars, looking at galaxies, looking at all of the heavens that are out there, and feeling the 100% vast size of the Milky Way galaxy just in itself. And you have to understand, it's like going out and around and being this big circle and coming back. But on the way back, and before I plopped right back into my own body, he goes, now remember, all the things that you've seen out here are actually part of your physical body. Yeah. And you don't have to leave your physical body to understand or be connected to any portion of this out here. It's all inside of you.
Ooh, what a
and just as he
wise
said
man.
that, that's when we slammed back into our body. I picked up the phone and I said, you're an asshole. Why didn't you tell me? And he's laughing. Now, he goes, now don't say a word. Write down what you saw. And I typed it up, and I sent my email. He sent his within seconds of each other, and it was the very same thing. So not only was it an astral projection and an astral travel, it was very much a shared consciousness doing that. Yeah. And he typed out, once again, don't forget, you are part of all of this. It is part of you. So it really helped sink in the enormity of what we are, where we can go, what we can be, what we can achieve or do. It was a very amazing kind of thing. That's the one that blows my mind.
Have you ever not felt well physically and asked to go inside your body to see what's going on?
No. That scares the hell out of me.
I've done that a couple of times, yeah.
Is that not amazing? It's astral travel in an entirely different way.
That is amazing. It is really, really amazing.
We have Michael talking to himself.
Oh no, I'm not that bad. I'll sit and mumble for a minute. No, it ironically, Pat, instead of doing an introspective travel, when I was very young and I was ill and I was sick, I would close my eyes, but I would envision talking with these little tiny robots. And I would tell them what I needed them. I didn't feel well. My stomach didn't feel well. Can all those little tiny robots go down there and try to fix what was going on? And my mother used to ask me, what are you doing? I said, I'm asking the little robots to go fix because I don't feel good. My stomach doesn't feel good, or I've got a headache, or my shoulder hurts. So even from a very early age, I was doing something similar. Just I've never done that on a conscious level.
Right. That's beautiful.
All right, folks, we're going to get ready to wrap up for the evening. We're a little bit over time, but it has been an absolutely wonderful kind of time. In the chat room this evening, I wanted to stop and say thanks to Shelley. Shelley's been here. A gentleman by the name of Liam. Joanne Troy, I apologize that I didn't say good evening earlier. Kind of got carried away with what we were talking about. Kathy Green is there. And a lady that I have known for a very long time, Rose Copeland. This is a lady that graduated a few years ahead of me in high school, but I used to deliver the newspaper to her mom. Did that tell you how long ago that was? That was like a teenager when that happened.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see Rose in here also. I appreciate everybody joining this evening. I hope that it has been somewhat informational, educational, a little bit of laughter, levity. I'm not going to say any more than that. Just leave that right there. Put that in its own little box, Heather. I'm going to I'm going to clip that recording, and I'm going to set it as a ringtone or something. Yeah, we'll take that. Oh, blackmail.
Oh, what?
We'll take that for her wedding reception.
Oh, that'd be good. That'd be
There. Yeah, now who's
are
blushing?
invited,
Look at her
aren't we,
face.
Heather?
Look at her face.
Aren't we?
You're on my guest list. You are, yes, you guys are on my guest list. We got to get our invitations out.
She'll give us the wrong date, Michael.
Yeah, she will. Oh, I'm sorry, that was last week. I'm sorry you didn't make it. But for everybody in the chat room, for everybody that is listening on the podcast, thank you for joining us for another episode of Terra Turas.
Bye, everybody.
We are going to be back next week, and if I'm not mistaken, next week is the week about crystals.
Oh, yeah.
And I know all of us, and Jared, get better so you get back next week. All of us have very, very different kind of experience with crystals, what they do, how they react, what they are for. But next week will be a show on crystals, and I'm looking forward to that, and I think a lot of other people are as well.
Yay.
So for everybody that was here, everybody on the podcast, thank you for joining, and we will see everybody again next week. Take care. Have a great weekend.
Good night.
Good night, all.